Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 166 of our Kouryer podcast. Our today's guest is Mr. Mukhlis Nur. He's a comic artist, illustrator, and also author of Night of Rakshasa, which we're going to talk about in the podcast as well, from Bandung, Indonesia. And well, with that introduction out of the way, let me quickly give a shout out that you in the captions as well, that in the captions, in the for contact section, as always, and as usual, we can find his Instagram, his art station as well, and his Twitter handle as well. If you want to go check it out and follow there, you can go ahead there. And also a link to his Patreon. So if you want to support his art and stuff like that, you like what you're seeing and you want to benefit from some perks, go check it out. Don't miss it. And with that being out of the way, let's jump into the first question that I always start with. Give us a little introduction on how you got into the world of visual arts and design. Basically, that moment that made you realize, all right, I want to become an artist.
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me. First time I get invited to a podcast, so thank you so much. And first time I actually know that, okay, this is what I want to do. Well, I probably know that since my childhood, I think that, okay, this is the thing, maybe the only thing that I'm good at. I'm finding my family at my kind of early age move a lot, so I don't get too many friends at home. So that's where I start to kind of basically copy, trace comic book, mostly manga, because we don't get too many Western comic here. So I'm mostly copying manga, and then eventually it's kind of become the only thing that I really can immerse myself into. And I guess up until around 2007, 2008, during high school, that's the first time I got a job freelancing on making illustration for kind of indie trading card game local. That's kind of where I found the advertising in the magazine and think, oh, well, let's try, just send some portfolio. Yes, I made within a week, just send and got one or two job to make kind of minor cards. And that's kind of when I started thinking, okay, I can make living with this. Because back then in Indonesia, around that time, it's not really that not the industry not yet growing. So even though I like drawing, I like making design, things like that, the opportunity for like career opportunity is not really clear back then. So up until that, when I got the job, and then starting to talk to some people in the like currently developing industry, that's when I started. Oh, okay, there is a future in this here in Indonesia. So that's where I just, okay, let's focus on this. After that, I'm studying in art. I'm taking art major in university, and yeah, from there just keep in this industry. Even though I'm kind of moving from at first I'm focused in comic illustration, and then I work also in a game studio, indie game studio here for a couple of years, and then now back again to comic and illustration.
All right. And well, in the introduction, I already mentioned that you're a comic artist and illustrator and also author as well. But here's the thing. I want to ask you now, what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on right now? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now. Like by main branch of design, I mean, are you like specifically working as an illustrator right now, or comic artist, or both at the same time?
I'm both. I'm writing my comic, and also I'm drawing my comic. Perhaps the system in here is maybe closer to the one in Japan. So one author, they are the one the writing and doing the drawing also. maybe in US, maybe usually there is like one studio, there is different writer, different lettering, different inking and things like that. In here, mostly the artist also the writer, and yeah, kind of maybe it's kind of like the longest job I have is basically a comic artist, and mostly I write my own comic, so I rarely do other people's scripts or story. Since my debut in 2011, my first one shot published, and yeah, since then I've been like writing my own and drawing my own comic up until now. Yeah. Even like right now, I'm currently still working on the Night of Rakshasa also by myself.
And is any issues is still out right now for people to buy?
Yeah, it's fortunately the physical is not in for international, but the web version you can find it in Inker, ENKR I forgot I think you can type ENKR and Night of Rakshasa. It's kind of new is comic web comic portal. I got the Inker by the publishing right from my publisher to publish the web version there.
Well, if you want to listen, definitely after the podcast, send me a link so I can put it in the caption as well. So if any people want to purchase, definitely I'll remind you again. And all right, so now this is an super interesting subject for me personally, because here's the thing: when I first saw your works, I was kind of amazed by the design. All right, so a specific example, the Gluttonous Galleon. I love that type of designs that it's in terms of design principles. You have the design contrast, the contrast in concepts. You have basically everything in a nice harmony together. And personally, for me, as I said, Gluttonous Galleon is one of them. The Toho Spirited Away Bow is one of them again. I saved some of your works actually, like the King's Gaze. These are really cool design. Do you come up with the designs yourself as well, or are there other artists involved, or it's just all you?
It is all me, especially this currently that my recent personal project is the one that maybe you mostly see in filling my Patreon and my Instagram. I'm doing that for my Patreon project. Yeah, that's mostly my own design. So the patron pick a prompt for me, so a single word. And then I make the design based on that single word. So I think the galleon, the ship, is deep and ship. So yeah, basically I'm combining deep or deep sea and then the ship itself. Then I've started breaking down and using, but kind of my own imagination and technique to just make something, either a creature or character, but I think mostly I'm making creatures.
Yeah, even for example, the Sushi living airship. Oh no, Sushi is actually the name of the person. Oh, sorry. The living airship one I kind of like that too. And the Absolute Arbiter. When I saw it, I was like, is this from Hades, the video game? Because it looks the design looks really clean, honestly. Even the colors and everything, you got it down really well. And also, one of my favorites, Elegant Ego, is the bow.
Yeah, that's it's actually a sword, but looks like a harp and a bow.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this is whatever
it looks pretty,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it, actually a lot of them, even the color, the shapes, I mostly applied kind of fundamental principle of design, even the color combination, repetition, the small, big, medium, small, those kind of principle. I often especially because this swords, I think it's done during September. It's kind of like Inktober, but during September, one sword a day. So I used kind of that time opportunity to basically brush up the fundamentals and like the color combination, mostly following the kind of the color theory, almost every single one of them. So yeah, I often do that, kind of like utilizing the basic, so that kind of burn in my mind, so that I can don't have to. I can bend it, but still remember the basic.
All right, and well, let's talk about some general stuff. But before that, usually, in my Instagram stories, I always post like which guest I'm going to have a podcast with, and I let people to ask some questions. And for you, someone asked a question that I'm gonna say. So, Hasti Art IO asks. I mean, she wrote it in Farsi, but I tried to translate it to English. Basically, she's asking, where do you get the idea for? I mean, of course, you kind of explained in my previous answer, but I'm gonna say the question again. Where do you get the ideas for your works? Like, do you combine two different type of creatures or animals, or do you like? Basically, she wants to know the process of your coming up with ideas for this stuff. As I said, I mean, of course, you mentioned that on Patreon, people say prompts and you do that. But aside from that, is there anything else?
Well, usually at first I like to kind of break down. I kind of first I of course I got the word from the patron, but then after that I like to kind of break down the word itself. Let's say the word is deep. But what can deep mean? And kind of often I go to dictionary, English dictionary, Merriam-Webster, kind of find the synonym word related to that. That's basically how I decide how I can find or search different kind of reference for that. Let's say deep. Okay, deep. Let's say connecting that to sea, and what else in the sea? Then I'm listing several different creatures, and also the other word I also break down that too. A ship, what type of ship? Galleon, and then other brig, and there's a lot of other ship. And let's take example the gluttonous galleon. After breaking down that, the sea creature and then the ship itself, it reminding me of the Portuguese man of war. Is a type of jellyfish that's basically collection of different kind of organism, single cell organism, working together into one big creature. Okay, that's kind of that's also already covered the deep and also the ship. And from that, I start to play around with the word itself. Portuguese man of war is actually like name of a ship. What if it is actually a ship? And then the collection of creature itself kind of become a parasite taking over the ship and basically become a literal Portuguese man of war, but with more fantasy touch like that. A lot of it, I try to not just mix two different creature, like the head of what and then the body of what, something like that. I try to put some twist or maybe like different interpretation of certain word or certain concept, things like that. Because I kind of think that if you just mix, let's say there is a fox and there is a deer, then you make a fox with a horn. I kind of think like, I think this should be a step further than that if you want to make an actual like unique creature. That's why I'm breaking down the word so that I have so many kind kind of different angle I can maybe mix and match, and not just two different animal, but maybe object, maybe concept, or maybe some kind of biology topic or morphological of animal, things like that.
All right. And well, tell us a little bit about King Knight of Rakshasa. Like, how did he come up with it? Like, basically, I mean, anything that you can, of course, share. I mean, if you can, like, if you're comfortable.
It's basically maybe it's a shonen shonen manga theme. So in the similar genre to like Naruto, Bleach, and typical shonen manga. So it's about basically about the world got invasion from this parasitic creature that come up from the earth, and taking off. If you got infected by it, you got transformed into a monster, depending on your strongest desire, twisted version of your strongest desire. And basically it's about that and the police that basically fighting this creature kind of a bit in secret. So fighting them without letting the public know about this to avoid basically a panic. Basically, that's the story. It's originally published locally in a monthly comic magazine in Indonesia, but recently the publisher working together with Inker to basically make a web comic version of that comic. Currently, you can read that in Inker. I believe you can read free version up to chapter 4 or 5, I believe.
And how many chapters are out there right now?
It's hard to count. The physical, the original form is right now chapter 23. But I think it's more because in webcomic they kind of split that. So maybe I think right now like 30 or 40, I believe, because they split one. Usually one chapter is around 20, 24 or 20 page. I think in the web version, they split one chapter into 2. So probably right now around 30 or 40 chapter in the web version.
All right. Interesting. Cool. And well, before the recording, we also talked a little bit about, some of our recent interests, and we came up with the subject of, I just wrote in my notes horror stuff, so I wouldn't forget. And yeah, I mean, true story. But speaking of that, tell us about, some of your recent findings in the genre, and what have you been enjoying lately?
Well, I've been enjoying like watching a lot of old ARG and a lot of that unfiction type, including like creepypasta. Some people think that creepypasta is cringe. Some of them, yes. Some of them are cringe, very. But I believe like there is a lot of like a potential of good concept, good horror concept, good creature concept that born from this creepypasta. It's kind of I've been even in my current project, the personal project. It's actually like kind of like SGP. So I'm making a record of these different creatures and things like that. It's kind of inspired by SGP itself. So yeah, I've been watching and reading a lot of that. Also, it recently Backroom, but the the over development of Backroom start to turn me off.
Yes, with the new installments of Giga Chat is trying to hunt you in Backrooms, or like I saw, I think the other day, Hatsuna Miku is trying to chase you in like Backrooms or something.
Yeah,
it's getting crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Here's a pretty interesting question. Who are some of your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Inspired me the most. A lot of them are Japanese artists. Um, I'm, I guess, the one that inspired me really in the comic, in my comic, basically, Kozue Amano. That's she make Aria. Probably a bit obscure and very old. Also, Yamas, I forgot the name. Something. Kouryer, the one that make Ancient Magus Bride. I believe it's not long ago the anime got it got anime adaptation. But also Mina Sandberg. It's the one that make Stand Still, Stay Silent webcomic. There's also several other. Shaun Tan, it's Australian artist, I believe. I kind of use him to develop my kind of more traditional skill. Reference to him. But who else? There is so much I forgot. There is also it's on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot the name.
That's
Red Juice. Yeah, Red Juice also. And then recently I've been like really liking the aesthetic of, do you know the game Ark Knights?
That's really familiar.
It's a mobile game.
Oh.
Ark Knight.
No, I don't.
It's kind of like gacha mobile game, but I really like the aesthetic of it's more like combination of sci-fi, fantasy, and streetwear. So I kind of dig the fashion and the design of the characters there. Yeah, but I think I've been really kind of hooked by Mina Sandberg. Even like my current style, kind of a lot of them inspired by her. The more it's digital, but try to look as close as possible to traditional, mostly watercolor. That part I kind of really use Mina Sandberg comic as reference.
All right. And all right, art aside, what other areas would you be interested to explore and learn in the future? Like what are things you want to do in life, aside from like all this art? Maybe it's another hobby, it could be anything.
It's kind of difficult. I'm probably the definition of workaholic. So if I'm not drawing, like working, I'm drawing for personal project. If I'm not doing that, I'm writing for something, either my comic or kind of like just to put in my archive. I think, yeah, that's just the thing. I don't really, I hardly can play any instrument, so music is kind of out of the option there. I've been really wanting to actually more like still art, but I kind of want sculpting actual clay, sculpting that I've really wanted to try that since forever. There's one time I buy the clay, but it's just sitting in my shelf back there. Never get the chance to actually try to make. I kind of want to make statue or model from the clay model. Yeah, but maybe because I study in art school for like 4 years, and then right after that, just straight to game studio. So yeah, mostly my life is just revolving around yes, drawing. I want to try 3D modeling, things like that. More like, if not this illustration, I want to try different like avenue, but still in this area. I think mostly I really want to try 3D modeling, sculpting, which is I've been really want to try that, but I never got the chance, never got the time.
All right. And well, we've reached the final question and section of the podcast, which is called Final Words. All right, let me explain. Imagine you have a limited amount of time, and in that limited amount of time, you could say anything. It doesn't have to be art advice or anything to anyone who might be listening to the future to this podcast. So in that case, what do you have to say?
What do I have to say? Let's see. Probably trust your guts, but calculate the risk. That's kind of my life motto. That often just believe in that gut feeling, so that you don't kind of feel regret afterward. But still, calculate what's the risk if you follow that. It is something that I've been like living by that word. Like when I suddenly got the feeling that why my style is so stagnated. I need to change, but the more pragmatic feeling is just you already have clients that like your style like this. Why change? But that nagging feeling that I think I need to I can be better than this. I can move forward. I trust that, but I still calculate what's the consequence of if I follow this. I still will follow this, but I will prepare for the consequence and kind of find the alternate solution for that. So yeah, I always prepare for the worst scenario, because that's how I kind of make decisions so far. And I think to be dynamic, to avoid stagnation, as an artist, if you can just stay in your comfort zone if you want, but I think the true satisfaction if you live that and kind of explore the other possibility where your artistic journey can take you, other than just the spot that you are currently standing at.
All right. Where can people contact you if they had any questions? Is it your Instagram okay?
Yeah, Instagram okay. I think also Twitter also. You can also like me there. Mostly I'm using those two.
All right, awesome. So thanks so much for coming by, and thank you anyone who tuned in for this episode. Check the Patreon, check the links. I'm going to put it all in the caption as well. Till next episode.